All right, my mic was on mute, people. My bad. I'm off mute now. All right, Joyce just letting Hammer hit him with all types of shots here. Pieced up in the first round. Hammer time. But now Joyce looks like he's overwhelming him. Oh, good body shot from Joyce. He's getting to it. You guys wouldn't have heard. I was talking to myself because I had my mic muted, but this is what Hammer did against Luis Ortiz. He was throwing some pretty dangerous shots over the top against Luis Ortiz. And caught Ortiz a couple times in that fight, I seem to remember. Not as many times as he caught Joyce in the first, but he's still quite sneaky. He was still quite sneaky in that fight with a right hand over the top. And bear in mind, people, if it sounds like I'm a bit behind you guys in terms of where the fight is, I'm streaming the fight and I'm using a VPN and I'm in a different country. So obviously, you know, that's why if you're having issues hearing me, I mean, not issues hearing me, but if you're ahead of me in terms of where the fight is for you, that's why. Yeah, he's making Hammer work hard here. And like Teddy Atlas says about the tide coming in, I think it's only a matter of time. Unless Hammer, oh, there we go. There we go. Right at the end of the third round. Says he was back of the head. Okay. You see, Joyce is now blocking the right hands with his own right glove. He's putting his right glove on the left side of his face, and he's blocking the right hands now. So now Hammer's landing more straight left hands, right? Jabs. Why did Joyce do that from the beginning? Why is he so reckless against lower opposition? Because when he was fighting Daniel Dubois, he wasn't giving Dubois all these opportunities. Obviously, Dubois is more dangerous than Christian Hammer, but there's a middle ground. Do you know what I mean? When he fights these lower tier opponents, he just doesn't care at all about trying to block shots or get away from shots. Now he cares a little bit because I think he got stunned in the first round. I know he tries to hide it well, but I reckon a couple of those Christian Hammer shots stunned him. Hammer's a 200 and whatever he is, 50-pound man, and he was throwing those overhand rights. They were landing flush in Joe's face. And one of them appeared to hurt Joe's eye because he was blinking after he got hit in the eye. Anyway, here we go, round 4. This is why Joyce is an optical illusion, because he looks terrible in so many fights, just terrible. Like he's looked certainly in the first round here, and he doesn't look great at all. Hammer down again. Yeah, Hammer's, the fight's beaten out of him. He might even sit out the count here. Nah, he's got to his feet. This ain't going to go much longer. Hammer better throw some haymakers here. He went for one there. That might have been his last-ditch attempt. But Joyce is just relentless. Back of the head, says Hammer. Down again. Might sit it out. I got to his feet. Oh, swiping right hand from Christian Hammer. He's looking for Hammer time, but unable to recreate what he had in that first round. Body shot, down again, it's over. It's done. Finish. Hammer gave it a go for like a round and a half, and then Joyce just overwhelmed him and took him out. Yeah, the optical illusion, Joyce, often looks terrible. But then he goes in there against Daniel Dubois, and he's up on his toes, using a jab, not getting hit clean. and forcing Daniel Dubois to quit. It's a weird one, isn't it? Because you look at that and you think Joyce is going to get knocked out badly as soon as he fights anybody decent. But maybe when he fights somebody decent, he's going to be more careful. And when I say decent, obviously Daniel Dubois was decent. But I mean, again, here we go. The slow-mo. Body shot. See, I mean, yeah, you can say the shots were in the back of the head, but Hammer was going down at the time. So I don't think Joyce was aiming him there. But as Hammer was going down, there's quite a difference, isn't it, between Joe Joyce's chin and David Price's chin? Because when my guy Pricey was getting hit with them type of shots, you saw what happened to his legs. So it was over quite quick. There were several people. I saw you guys in the live chat predicting an early finish for Joe. I was quite impressed by Zolani Tete. That was a nice shot that he hit my man with Cunningham. Beautiful left hand by Tete. And the finish was brutal. Yeah, Wayne McCleary. Exactly. He looks terrible, but he keeps winning. It's one of them ones. Richie Woodall telling Joe Joyce to work on certain things. I mean, I don't really think you can change him that much, to be honest. I think he is what he is. Joe will do what he does. I'm pretty sure that loads of different trainers. That was a great right hand from Christian Hammer. It's literally his best shot. His best shot. Joe does take a great shot. Right in the eye. And nothing even landed clean from Joyce. It was, well, the body shots were landing clean, but the headshots weren't even landing clean. Hammer just didn't fancy it. He realized that Joyce weren't going to stop. And he landed his best shot and nothing happened. Yeah, Steve Bunce is making a good point. Sanchez actually went, or Hammer, should I say, went the distance with Frank Sanchez, didn't he? The essence says Wilder takes his head off. Yeah, you would imagine so. But Agni says Hammer went the distance for Tyson Fury. Not that's where Tyson Fury stopped him. No, he stopped him. Tyson Fury, he never went the distance for Fury. He got stopped. Tekken says Joyce needs a cross-arm defense like George Foreman. I think that's a good shout because he is very Foreman-esque, isn't he, in his movements? Slow like Foreman, clunky like Foreman. So, yeah, I reckon that's a good shout. The cross-arm defense might be good for him. Shout out to Thunder's Productions for the super chat. Big up, big up, big up. Salute. Big shout out to Just Happen. Big up. Yeah, off the top of my head, Fury stopped Christian Hammer. Marius Wack stopped Christian Hammer. I think that might have been Hammer's first loss. He was knocked out by Marius Wack. He was stopped by Tyson Fury. He was stopped by Huey Fury. Black Dynamite says Fury was on them Nandroloni sandwiches. Big up G-Man. Are you at the fight, G-Man? You must be at the fight, right? What did you make of it from ringside, G-Man? 99 Red Pills says Hammer is a gatekeeper and this fight was a backward step for Joyce, but what can he do? Yeah, maybe a backward step or maybe just a tune-up, a stay busy fight. Daniel Oscroft says Hammer went for it tonight, which is unusual for him. Genuinely thought it was a 12-round fight. Yeah, he doesn't normally go for it, but as I said previously, he went for it against Ortiz. Volts UK says Tunde said Kovalev was juicing versus Yard. Did he say that publicly? Don't want to catch a lawsuit if you can't prove it. KO Boxing Vibe says, does Wilder Brazil Joe Joyce? Too easy to hit. It would seem like it, but I do think Joe Joyce is better than Brazil. Quite a lot better than Brazil. I think he's got faster feet than Brazil, which is crucial. And when he wants to box, he can box. We saw that against Daniel Dubois. But certainly if he fought Wilder the way that he fought Hammer tonight, surely he get iced. Hamid says, Hatman, I'm curious about what you think about old greats like Ezra Charles and Jersey Joe Walcott. Yeah, very crafty fighters. Ezra Charles, obviously a great mover. Came up in weight. Jersey Joe Walcott was crafty. And, you know, sometimes you look at the old fighters and you recognize you can see that their technique is dated. But Jersey Joe Walcott's technique was actually not too dissimilar to the way a lot of people fight now. Walcott was quite slick. You know, a little bit of a shoulder roll and head movement and the way he'd set his shots up. And those guys were fighting in little gloves, like 6 ounce, with horse hair. You know what I mean? He had to be teak tough. Yeah, big up Boxing on the Edge. Boxing Brotherhood in the house. Big up, big up. Belt loops matter. Shout for the super chat. He says, Yard versus Arthur, who you got? I got to go with, I guess you mean Artur Beterbiev, right? Arthur, yeah. I got to go with Beterbiev. I'm not saying Yard has no chance at all, but I'm going by the form book. I'm going by the experience, by the pedigree, and so on. I got to go with Artur Beterbiev in that fight. The Essence says, when was Joyce wobbled last? Can't remember, to be fair. Maybe in the WSB. Or in the amateurs. I can't remember him being wobbled as a pro. Tekken says, AJ has enough power to deter Joyce from coming forward so much. He has power in both hands, throws uppercuts, with bad intentions. That could be a bad matchup for Joyce. It could be. But if Joyce can get through all that and he's still applying pressure, might be difficult for AJ down the stretch. Yeah, 99 Red Pill says the day that Joyce's chin is cracked is the day he needs to retire. I agree. He relies on that chin a lot. Black Dynamite says, didn't he struggle a bit with Takam? He got hit a few times against Takam, yeah, but I don't remember him getting buzzed in that fight. Against Hammer, he looked a bit buzzed to me in that first round. He hides it well, but to me, he looked buzzed. Yeah, he got hurt by Jennings to the body. That's right, Brown Bomber. Yeah, he did indeed. Got hurt to the body. AM says AJ has a better jab than Joyce. And Joyce just hits just as hard. I see a robotic 1-2 downs Joyce in that fight. KO Boxing Vibe says, if AJ loses to Usyk, your thoughts on a Wilder AJ showdown? I've always felt that Wilder would beat AJ. Even when AJ was undefeated, I always felt like stylistically, I don't like the Wilder fight for AJ. Shout out to Joshua Hooker for the £5 super chat. He says, Joyce versus White opinion. Right now, I pick Joyce. I don't think White has the punch resistance to get through a 12-rounder against a serious heavyweight at this stage. I think his punch resistance is gone. Yeah, hopefully Jason Cunningham is okay, because he looked in a bad way. You know, they had to give him oxygen. He was sat on the stool, and his legs looked wobbly even when he got him to his feet. That was a bad knockout that he suffered against Tete. Tete pieced him up. I mean, it was a very boring first few rounds with Cunningham and Tete. Tete was landing the better jabs, and you could just see he was smoother and sharper. But the knockout came out of nowhere. He just landed a left hand, which he slotted for a really, really tight gap. And he caught Cunningham while they were both turning. So it was kind of unexpected. And he slotted this left hand for a really small gap, hurt him, dropped him. And then when he got to his feet, Tete just tore him to pieces. That was a good finish by Tete, but hopefully Cunningham's going to be okay, because that was a vicious knockout. When he went down, his head bounced off the canvas several times. So it was a very, very heavy knockout. G-Man said, when I left the press conference, I ended up in a lift with Tete, said, best of luck. You should get it done. I'd like to take credit for that win. Yes, G-Man. Make sure you guys check out G-Man's channel. He did some great interviews. Lucan says, Frank Warren stated Parker was Fury's replacement opponent for the White fight. I find that hard to believe. Yeah, I find it impossible to believe. Never mind hard to believe. I find it impossible to believe. Hassan Ukar. Big up Hassan. You still chasing a fight with Amir Khan even though he's retired, bro? Or have you knocked that on the head? He says, how about you coming back to Facebook? Hell no. Facebook is dead, bro. Like, Facebook is so over. Come on, bro. Woke platforms are finished now. Forget about all the, Facebooks and all that type of stuff. Nah, man. Even Twitter can go to hell, as far as I'm concerned. All the censorship and all that business. Yeah. If it weren't for the money you can make on YouTube, I'd come off here too. To be honest with you. Can't make any money on Facebook and Twitter. The Fab says, Hatman, saw you in Brixton the other day. You definitely didn't see me in Brixton the other day, bro. I'm like thousands of miles away from the UK. So you can't see me in Brixton. I ain't even been to Brixton for several years. Ian Hamilton says, Joyce is a disaster waiting to happen. Even how they are now, Wilder and AJ would obliterate him. Yeah, he looks like that, but he's always looked that way. If ever you've looked at Joe Joyce fight, you think, how did this guy even get to an Olympic final? How did this guy do so well? He beat Hrgovic in the WSB. Can you believe that? Joyce beat Hrgovic. I don't know how he does it. He's an optical illusion. He looks like he should be getting battered by anybody decent and everybody decent, but somehow he goes in there against top tier opponents, right, in the WSB and the amateurs, and he's putting the heat on them. And we saw what he did to Daniel Dubois. I don't know what it is about Joyce. He just has a way of winning. It's the strangest thing. "99 Red Pill says it's all in the angles. Maybe it is. Maybe he's got such a weird rhythm, or lack of rhythm. He's so disjointed. And he's very powerful and, like you say, physically strong. And he just keeps coming at you. It works somehow. I don't know. Don't ask me how, but it works somehow. Oh, wow. Brown Bomber says, Ben Shalom is trying to make Parker versus Hunter. Who you got? That's a real good fight. That's a real good fight. Parker versus Hunter. I'm not even sure who I got in that fight, you know. Maybe Hunter slightly, but that is a real good fight. And I think Hunter's got more tenacity than Parker, but Hunter likes to start fast and, you know, he punches himself out a little bit in the early rounds. So maybe Parker could come back later on, and I think that's a real good fight. Same Hussein said Usyk chinned Joyce badly in the WSB, if I'm not mistaken, against the top level guys with power. It'd be too much for him. Now Usyk didn't chin him; he beat him on points. He pieced him up and he beat him on point. He gave him a beating. Don't get it twisted. But yeah, he didn't chin him. The fight went a distance. Zane's boxing talk. Big up Zane. What do you think of Miras Briedis losing his cruiserweight titles? I've been looking for the full fight. I can't find the full fight. They got some highlights on YouTube, and I did watch the highlights. And that guy that he fought, the Australian guy, he looked impressive. I mean, he looks young, very quick feet, bouncing all over the ring, southpaw, counter punching, real nice right uppercut that appeared to buzz Miras Briedis. He looked impressive. Never seen him before. So I'd like to see the full fight before I do a post-fight review. But yeah, that guy looked good. Wherever he came from, he looked good in there. And he fought a young man's fight by the look of it. Meaning, if you're in there against an old veteran like Miras Briedis, they want to slow the pace down. They want to draw you into a chess match, right? That's like what they like to do. Hold and spoil and all this kind of stuff. Throw you off your game. If you're a young guy and you got fast feet and good bounce in your legs, use that. Make it about that. Get him to come forward at you. Spear him with the jab. Throw plenty of punches. Yeah, fight a young man's fight, an energy fight. And it looks like that's what he did. Very nice technical boxing, but at a good pace and forcing Briedis to use his legs to try to track him down. It was good stuff. Oh, wow. G-Man says, Ben Shalom on press row. They said, give the media food and drink. Frank, you aren't allowed to even have a bottle of water. Okay, so you're saying that at Ben Shalom's press conference, you were given food and drink, or you're given food and drink, excuse me. Whereas at Frank Warren's event, you can't even have a bottle of water. Wow. I mean, that don't surprise me. Have you had a look at Queensbury's accounts? Just go to company's house. It don't surprise me. Although they should be looking a bit healthier after the Fury White fight, right? Cutting Weight Boxing says Coogan has been arrested at the airport. Has he? Really? Are you trolling? I know Coogan might have been banned from going to the States or whatever, but arrested at the airport? Where did you hear that? Yeah, KO Boxing Vibe says Lawrence Okolie probably looking to sweep the belts ASAP. Indeed. And he wanted to get Briedis in the ring. But to be fair, Okolie doesn't fight like that guy that beat Briedis. Okolie's much more physical. His feet are not as quick. His balance is not as good. But I'm sure he hits a lot harder than that guy. It would have been a completely different kind of fight. Maybe a fight that would have suited Briedis a bit more. I'm not saying Briedis would beat Okolie, but I just think Okolie's style, I don't think would have been as awkward. Well, no, Okolie's style is very awkward. But Okolie's boxing, I don't think, would be as difficult for Briedis to contend with, because Okolie isn't really a high volume guy. Whereas that guy who beat Briedis, the Australian, he was high volume, bouncing all over the place, good balance, in and out, spearing him with the jab, you know, shots from different angles. Yeah. Breedis. Debiaka says Breedis was absolutely finished when he started calling out YouTubers. It's not a good sign, is it? When you're several times world champion and you're calling out YouTubers to fight, it sounds like you're just looking for a cash out, a payday before you retire. That wasn't a good sign. And that is kind of suggestive of Breedis knowing that the end was near. Black Dynamite says, who do you think Okoli is signing with after this next fight? Good question. I don't know. I don't know. I know a lot of these guys feel like the zone isn't really the platform. And this whole thing about you walk in a pub and they don't have the zone, I think that actually sticks in a lot of fighters' minds. They're thinking they're going to get more exposure on Sky, so it makes sense to go over there. I think that would be a real coup for Sky and Boxer if they got Lawrence Okoli, because he is a serious elite world champion. They don't have anybody like that, Boxer and Sky right now. They got some up-and-coming talent, and obviously Liam Smith has gone over there, you know, a former champion. But in terms of like current elite fighters, Okoli would be a big coup for them. Did any of you see Mark Tibbs's cruiserweight make his debut? Because I missed that completely. In fact, G-Man, did you see Mark Tibbs's cruiserweight on the Joe Joyce Christian Hammer undercard? And if you saw him, how did he look? Andrew says, yeah, he's good. Oh, wow, okay. So the boy really can crack. Okay. Good KO. I hope somebody's uploaded it to YouTube. Colin says, Fletcher looks solid, Hatman. He was a sub 200 wet, though. He will grow into the weight. Say he's 6'6", 6'7". Wow, so he's very tall. So he's kind of a lanky Deontay Wilder type physique. Yeah, it's like Manny Stewart always used to say, and even Teddy Atlas has said this, and it's been my experience to some degree as well. Those tall, lanky guys are often the hardest punchers. People think it's going to be some big meathead with muscles, especially people that are not really from a boxing background. But in the gym, the tall, lanky guys can really crack. So never underestimate some tall, skinny guy. Wow. Tibbs said he may, if it's not an issue, Fletcher may do 175 for now. That's crazy. So he's saying that Fletcher is the hardest puncher he's ever worked with, and this guy can get down to 175. That's crazy. If he gets, I mean, if he's coming in sub, 200 pounds, then I guess it's a discussion, right? Shout out to Hassan for the super chat. He says, Bivol versus Zerdo. I got Bivol. Josh Hooker, I don't believe you. The stuff you're saying about Coogan, I don't believe you. Guzzi says, what's up, Hatman? Have you come across the new Pakistani Eddie Hearn, Izzy Asif? I think I've seen a couple interviews with him, yeah. EL says Wilder could make cruiserweight if he wanted. Wilder was actually talking about doing that. Remember when he still had the WBC title? He was talking about dropping down to 200 pounds, winning the cruiserweight title, then coming back up to heavyweight, because nobody's ever done that before. People have come up from cruiserweight and won heavyweight titles, of course, but nobody's gone down from being heavyweight champion to then winning the cruiserweight title. Muro says 175 at 6'7", not sure about that. Well, they've got a 175, they've got a 6'7" junior middleweight, don't they? Boxing on the Edge, you know the guy I'm talking about. Who's the 6'7" junior middleweight who just beat Hank Lundy? they got guys 6'7" at junior middleweight now. And Boxing on the Edge says, yeah, the wiry, lanky, long-arm guys could always generate so much leverage and crack. Yup. Those guys, and they got bony knuckles. You know what I mean? Like real sharp, bony knuckles. G-Man says, crazy how much you hear at these events. Many people said Frank only really cares about boxers from London or Arsenal fans in his stable. He literally gives no S about the others unless they make money. Yes, yeah, that's right. Fondera or Fondura, however you pronounce his name. Yeah. He's like 6'7". 6'7" beanpole. Crazy. Making 154. So I wouldn't necessarily write off Fletcher getting down to 175 if they've got this other guy making 154. Obviously, you got to take things on a case-by-case basis. Most guys who are 6'7" are not going to get anywhere close to 175 pounds. But I don't know, if Mark Tibbs says it, then he's obviously seen something. Yeah, Fondura was once all the smoke. Yeah, he went in on Hank Lundy. He don't fight like a tall guy. But I think that's because he's so lanky and skinny that he lacks the muscle in the shoulders and in the arms to actually get extension on his punches and keep his arms out there. I'm not sure if I'm making sense of what I'm saying, but in my head, I understand what I'm trying to convey. Some of those guys don't have enough muscularity. It's just too much skin and bones to be able to get their arms fully stretched out and throw straight shots. Colin said Fletcher was 81 kilos in 2020 in the AMs. He could maybe plow light heavy for a few years, but I think he's better growing him up from 15 to 16 stone walking. Yes, G-Man. Yeah, Marcellus lost again. Yeah, Marcellus lost again. He needs to knock you on the head. Paul says Marcellus Wilder fights in the streets. God knows who he's fighting in the streets. Homeless bums, probably. Marcellus is, I mean, that's an understatement, bro. Muro says Marcellus is not good at all. No, I mean, he isn't not good at all. He's absolutely atrocious. Marcellus is one of them guys who should never be allowed near a boxing ring for his own safety. He's terrible. Have a good one, Colin. He's off to the Chinese with his woman. Peace. Okay, somebody's saying that Joyce beats Wilder easily, probably stops him early. Bold prediction. Seconds out said Savannah Marshall would beat Marcellus. I mean, I don't know whether I go that far, but Marcellus is terrible. Awful. Awful. One of the worst chins I've ever seen. All right, I'm going to bring this one to an end, people. Shout out to everybody for locking in. Apologies for having the mic on mute. I was commentating through the first couple rounds of the Joyce fight, not realizing that the mic was on mute. So anyway, catch you guys on the next video. I'm out.